So we left with this, right? CRUD operations. So yesterday we have uploaded this our RAML, employer RAML file, and done two methods, right? We have implemented two methods. Which two methods? Get employees and get employee by ID. How do we get this data? Right? That's also discussed. As right here, every flow is expecting something to implement a code. What code exactly how to implement? That first we have to think, right? So we just imported this YAML file and providing the real implementation to that. So that's what we have done yesterday for these two HTTP methods, get employees and get employees by ID. Today we will see one method, post and delete, right? Later then the same CRUD operations we will do with manual creating project. Here we have option to create a new project, Mule project, and go ahead with that so that you will be clearly understand that. Okay. Anyway, we have to see that how we can implement using API that is designed in the design center. Okay, let's finish this thing, then we'll jump into that thing. So step by step, you will understand that. No worry. Okay, if you miss anything here in the next project, in the next subsequent steps, you will understand this clear. Okay, now yesterday we are done with this get all employees, get employee by ID. Now today we will implement the logic for to post that record. See, what do you mean by post? We are posting, means posting in the sense what post method is doing to create a resource, to create a record, to create some data, right? Where irrespective of the backend system, that storage location, what you have used that one. Okay, let's see. Let me log into this. As we see yesterday, we have two records available in our database in the table, employee table, right? As we see 6463, 6464. Now we'll add one new record in this 6465, right? How this will be from the REST connector. Let's first start this Postman, as this is the tool we are using for testing, irrespective of get, put, post, update, anything, right? This Postman tool will help us to test all our APIs. Now, this you could see this one. Once you post the data, what's the transform message? This transform message is nothing but we already discussed yesterday, right? This displays the output message to us. What message we are expecting is created successfully message. But what you are doing here, you are posting the data. To post that data, right? Then where you are posting the data, I told you that yesterday, think about the flow. What flow exactly you are planning to design, what flow exactly you are planning to create. Then you have to choose the corresponding components here. Let's first remove this one. This is not needed for us because this is static thing. Now let's assume, as we discussing and as I told, right, to post, to create a resource, what I need, that as I told you, best practice, pull the logger component, put your logger message here, or you can leave it blank. It is you up to you how you want to display the message, right? Create a new resource, right? This is create a new resource, employee started. Okay, now this is just logger. Now what is the next component that you need to do? You are expecting to create a resource in the backend system in some storage location. So what is that storage, right? It is AWS database file or irrespective of that. Now we are working with the database connector. See, everything here is a connector. In this connector, we'll have these all available operations that need to perform. Depending on the scenario, we have to use this component. This is we call as a connector, one of the connector, right? As you see in the global elements, see database, what it is saying. So if you go here database and type under the connector configuration, you could see this as database config. We have an n number of connectors also. You both able to hear me, Shirisha, Anusha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See now, by default, the connector configurations will not have anything here. Depending on here, right? We have seen yesterday socket, HTTP, database, right? What connectors exactly you are going to use in your application, it will list all these things here. Otherwise it will not have anything, because it doesn't know that which connectors you are going to use in your application, whichever the things we have added, right, in our application. See, database, HTTP, socket related connectors. So it will list those corresponding connectors here. See, database connector, and HTTP config, request, right, and listener config. Those two means both are associated to HTTP, but different connectors, because here we see HTTP listener config is different, HTTP request configuration is different. This is used to invoke the actual API what we are using, right? And this is used for to invoke the different API. For example, from here, if you want to call or to get the data from different API, right, then you have to use this HTTP request configuration that we discuss in the upcoming sessions. No worry how it will be used. And socket, this is not using, but just we have added as a part of here in our model, right? That is the reason it is coming. We just remove this one. Okay, not required. This is not required. The moment you remove from there, right, see, it is removed from here and also removed from here. One thing I noticed you here with my laptop is, last couple of days, couple of years, I have worked with my office laptop and my other personal laptop. I don't see any issue with that tool instance running. You could see here the red symbol is coming. Sometimes in some operating systems or some installation issue, right, due to some installation issue, then the tooling instance is not running by default. We have to go and check before we start working with our applications. How you check, where you check is just go to Windows Preferences, then type tooling. It is under Anypoint Studio. Just select that, check the status, one or more studios are not running. Say studio services are not running. What these studio services are doing, it will help us to construct, to build our applications, to lower the dependencies of our application. It will interact with the ESB and do all the things required for us. So you have to say restart studio services, then it start restarting your studio services, then only you can go ahead to implement. Otherwise you will never go ahead with implementation. Your product also will never start. Now studio services are running. This keep go ahead with some time, later it will close. No worry about this thing. Only thing is you have to check the status here. If it is not running, then go ahead, restart, then apply and close. So this has to be checked one time when you open the studio for the first time, okay, for the day. Okay, then come to our point. See, post, what is required? Database. Here we are planning, we are trying to post the data to the database. Select that component and then say what to post. That means it has to insert, right? Posting means creating. To create means the data has to be inserted in the database. So that's drag this, insert. So the same thing, to which database you are going to insert these records, then you have to provide a configuration. You can change the name here to create a to create a new record. Okay, you just give that name as a best practice, right? If someone come to your flow and see that, they can easily understand what is this component is for. And database config, yesterday we have already created this. What is this database config? It contains the username, password, schema details, host, port, to which database you are going to connect. So those details we have configured as a part of database configuration. Then what is the next step? We are going to insert the data into the database. As you know, basic SQL queries, right? If you don't know, no worry. While typing here, you can learn those things. But make sure you have to practice that simple SQL queries. You have to learn at least basic SQL queries, right? How to write SQLs. Otherwise, not now, in future also, it is difficult for you to manage these things. At least like how to insert the data, how to retrieve the data, how to update the data, right? Those minimum queries, please learn that one. Okay, it is just a simple 1 hour of effort for you to learn simple CRUD operations. Okay, if you don't know how to learn that, just ask my help. Okay, take my help, any video tutorials as such, that I will help you to share that. Nothing to worry about that. Now, here I will teach you that to insert into the database, you have to write a query, say insert, because you are going to insert into which table. You have to give the name of the table, employee table. Okay, this should match to the employee here, right? Under this schema, under tables is employee. You cannot give something a spell mistake, otherwise during runtime you will get the exception. Okay, that we will see that, right? If something goes wrong, what exception, we see that, right? As a part of exception handling session, we will cover all these things. Now we are inserting data into the employee table. So what fields we have? This you could see employee ID, first name, last name, etc, etc. For all these fields we are going to insert, so that's we have to specify here, employee underscore ID. It should match the column name here, what you have created in the database. Otherwise, it will not be able to identify. You are trying to insert data into employee ID, but it does not exist. Column does not exist. Okay. Next, what is the next column? First name, sorry. First name, last name, age, mobile, age, comma, mobile, email, department, location, status. Now, for these columns, we are saying insert into all these columns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. What you are going to insert? Values. What values? You are getting values from this payload. Payload is nothing but we are posting, right? So select this input parameters function, right? Then you will get this expression mode. So here you have to send the values. How you send the values, right? From the payload, we are going to send that one. Okay, here. Okay, this is JSON. Okay, if you instead of manually typing, right, we have the option available in our RAML. Okay, go here, our employee API, expand this one, and we already have this examples code employee. The what format of data we are posting, right? You just copy this, okay, put it in this postman tool, right? Instead of writing this. Now I will say we'll see this later. First, let's finish this thing. Now, how this key is coming here, employee ID. So you just copy this one here. See now here, this is, you can give something else. That's not a problem. But see, this has to match the values here. How it is, right? Say for example, now column. This is the syntax column emp id. Instead of typing lengthy string employee underscore id, simple give emp id. F name is the first name. Instead of typing complex string, right? Then comma, this should be colon f name. As a syntax, we have to follow comma, column, L name means last name, comma, column. What is the next field is? Age, comma, colon, mobile, comma, colon, department,
Email string.
comma, colon, location, status. So from where do we get these things, right? Then we have to write the code here. Here you can put anything for employee ID, first name, last name, age, mobile, department, location, status. But you just see that, copy this one, because no need to copy, you can manual type also. But for this one, from where you get the value is from the payload. You are sending the this payload, right? We are posting the data. You are posting the data. Employee ID is employee ID. What is this attribute is as a part of payload. It's not a HTTP attribute. You are not sending this as a HTTP attribute. This is not attribute. This is the payload. We call it as a payload. Say payload dot employee ID. You see this? This is the employee ID. You are sending, right? That's the reason you have to select this same way. It has to match here. Otherwise, you are posting a payload, employee ID, this one. If you give something here, it will not be able to identify your values. This should be comma with, not a semicolon or a colon. Next, what is this? F name. F name is coming from the payload again. That what is this? F name is the first name. Okay, first name. Then L name means last name. It is also coming from the payload, but from which field? This last name field. You have to give that dot comma that. Similarly, for all the values for age, mobile, email. Now this is age. Payload dot age comma mobile. Email. Yeah, just a second. Waste. Sorry, some disturbance with my data. Okay, next email. We are done with mobile. Next email. Sorry, this should be here. We have not added, right? Mobile, after mobile, email is not added. Even you are not upset. Comma colon email. See, here it is already coming as a part of our API designing. Email. Next, department. So you say shift, sorry, control tab, then you could see all these things. You no need to type manually. Payload dot, what is this? Department. You can directly select this one. Because you see this, we have well designing a RAML, right? We have told that to post the data. See, in this RAML, you could see this one. To post the data, we have given us structure, right? We are posting the data in the form of this employee.json. Means how this JSON looks is this employee.json. That is the reason this will automatically bring you that all the attributes that you are going to use. So that will help the developer to move ahead quite faster, and he will not confuse that one. He no need to go back and keep copy select that. So he will follow that syntax. Now after department, location, payload dot, you just say control tab. So when it is saying resolve metadata, it will not prompt that. This is a location. Okay, at last field is status. Okay, now we are done. Just cross check once. If you have missed anything, comma or something, instead of struggling runtime. Okay, first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, all the 9 fields are there. Here you check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we are fine with that. Now what you are expecting once you post a data, This is a generic message, means this simple message, confirmation message that we need to display to the end user. Say that how you display that using transform message. All these components are that you are available in this favorite days. You can add additional things in this favorite components also, right? You go here, right? Core, if you want to add something to favorite is, right, then you go here. If you are frequently using, right, these things we are frequently using, so that's why that is a reason, you know, that's meaning of favorite is, right? As in the internet, Google, right, in the browser you are setting favorite is. If you have done any transactions also, right, then you set favorite transaction, right? All these are frequently used commands, frequently used options. So here you go here. If you are using frequently as set variable, for example, set variable add to favorites, then click here. This will be available. You don't need to go and search here every time. If you are frequently, what components you are frequently used in our application, that you can add it to favorites. Then say transform message. So what we can put in the transform message, we just display some message to the user, success message. So your record created successfully. How you do display that? Either you can put it in the XML format or JSON or anything. It is your wish depending on the application, right? So here we are saying message, right? Message. Say record created successfully. So now we are done with this. Let's start the application and say that. So you understood this, right? What we have done this, we are going to create the record. Where we are going to create a record? In some storage location. That storage location is our database. That database is the MySQL database. MySQL database. How do you send the data to that particular database? Using database connector, right? You connect to the database, but you have to write the syntax here, right? This is the SQL query syntax. We call it as a SQL. In general, normal SQL syntax also, right? If you see that Oracle or anywhere, right? Insert statements are standard syntaxes. Insert into table name. This is the syntax, and which columns you are going to insert. Sometimes it is not mandatory to insert all the columns, right? Depending on the data available. Sometimes employee ID definitely will be there. It may not have the last name, first name, last name. They are sending together as a first name only. If that employee does not have any email ID, or maybe it does not know, we does not know the location and status something, right? So those may be, those columns data may not be available with us to insert, because at such scenarios you no need to add these things. Whichever the column data you are going to insert, you have to specify only those columns. And the placeholders values means you can give hard-coded values here, but dynamically we have to send the data real-time scenario. You cannot give hard-coded values, right? We have to give the placeholders. This we call it as a placeholders. For these placeholders, we are sending the data from some external tool or from some external location. So how you are sending that? As a part of payload. How this payload is receiving the data? In the form of this type of keys, and the value associated to that key will be sent to this placeholder and substitute here. This query will execute. The moment this query execute, the data go and sit in this database. This is how it is going to work. Okay, now let's go back here and change this. We already have this 6463 6464 is that. Now we can give 65. Okay, we'll change something as Ramesh, and mobile number something give, and email ID we can change that email ID also. Can say some different location. Okay, this is the data we are going to send to this guy. Let's see if the application is running. Now it is start initializing that. So you are fine to take the class tomorrow morning 9 to 10, Sirisha and Anusha? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because night time
Tomorrow
sometimes, unfortunately,
morning,
unexpected things might happen. See, if we are not able to have a class morning, right? Definitely night it will be there. So we just see that night times also for you also it will be free to go to bed and spend time with family, right? So whenever we have time, that either morning or night, only one time. But make sure either morning or night, I will make this happen.
tomorrow will confirm, sir.
Yeah, one. But that's how I am saying that. It is sure, and tomorrow you have a class. Then before night only, right? Prior night, day, night only. I am telling that tomorrow will have a class 9 to 10, because I will be available at home tomorrow.
Okay.
Application is deployed. Now it is our time to post this data. Now make sure. See, now you are posting the data. What is the syntax right here? This is just post means post command and slash employee. This HTTP router is already having that host, port, everything, right? Then here you only have to choose the format pattern. See, this is just employees, right? You don't need to have the ID. This is the resource path. Now, if you try to do something else, right? Get, then it will get that list of data, right? It will not expect this thing. Now say select the post, click on send. It is going sending the request. As you could see in the console, see, create a new resource started. Whether it is success, says success, record created successfully. But how do you show that this code is created successfully? Just go back database and execute the query. See, 6565, all the data got inserted here, right? You can ask me a question, sir. I want to see that data, what is being inserted into the database. So how you do see that? See, whatever the message, right? You are displaying to user, right? This you can change to your own message, right? Once the session is ended, please again try to log into the same link. Okay. Now you just say payload means what payload you are sending here, that you can see as a part of response, right? That is a valid question, right? If you want to display the same payload, input payload as a output payload, what do you do as a part of interview question, right? Then you can display that payload as a output message in the transfer message, right? So you are expecting this output. Instead of displaying message to the user, confirmation message, what is the expected? Expected is what data you are posting, then you can see this one, right? In real-time scenarios, if it is right, see, as a part of testing, right, we only posting, then we only seeing that if someone is posting the data and other end, whoever is responsible to insert the data into the database, if they want to see what data exactly these guys are posting, how do this guy knows this, that scenarios, you can use this format to, means what format is this, to print the payload, what is the payload, what they are sending. Okay, now let's see, the server is up. So if once you do a changes, right, again you don't need to restart the application, it automatically reload and right, restart automatically. Okay, say sending, so it is still going on. Okay, stop on object. Okay, sorry, it's still loading. So it came to installation stage. We will do one more of HTTP method, right? Delete method, and close this okay topic and move to the next topic. That we manually will create a new project, and let's see that. Let's that you can understand from the beginning how we can use this Mule components, how these Mule components are working. Then simultaneously, parallelly, we also try to cover that global configurations, right? First we start with the basic thing, then we'll jump into the global configurations. First you have to understand that what is the standard configuration that we are going to use. That then I will move all these things slow step by step into global configuration, which is the central place where we can access all the configurations in that locations. Now it is starting application. Okay, successfully started. See now what data you are posting, the same thing you are able to see here. So this is how that you can play with the Mule components according to your requirement. So this is how we can post the data and get the response. You can also get the response directly from the database, but here you have to write a select statement, right? You understood? See, it is inserted. What is it is inserted here? The same select all from employees, right? You can put it here. For example, right now, okay. I cannot delete this. Okay. Okay, that we will see that. If you want to see that, right, you drag this component, meant the same select statement, right? You drag and drop it here. Once this insert statement is done, then you can fire this select statement to get all the records are available, right? You understood? Because here right now you have two records, assume, then after inserting one record, then you can see the updated three records. If you do that one, that is up to you, right? During practice, right, when you are practicing these things, then you have to explore more scenarios like that. So there are number of things that you can do once you learn these things, how to do these things, and right, then these things will come to your mind. I can do like this, I can do like this also. Okay, then we are done with the get post employees. Then we can just perform delete operation, right? Then we can directly jump into the manual creations. Now to delete, no, what is expecting? It is expecting employee ID. Based on the employee ID only we are going to delete the record, right? How do you send the this employee ID? It is a part of URI parameters. As we already discussed, URI parameter is separate. It is the part of URI, which is at the end of slash. Sorry. Now, that after deleting, what do you expect? You expect records deleted successfully, right? So you want to just see the message record deleted successfully. Then what we do? So just stop the server, delete these two components. Okay, now this empty. Then what is the first step? Then first to delete the records, from where we are deleting the record, from the database, select that connector, and what we are going to do, then we are going to delete the record. Drag that component and place it here. So, right, again same thing. So before or to delete the record, you have to connect to that database config, right? You just choose the same database connector and then write the query that is required to delete the record. So what is the syntax to delete? Say delete from which table name? So employee table. So condition, this is the where clause, where employee ID equals to colon the MP ID. So that I'm going to substitute this as a part of my request. See, enable this expression and then say EMP ID. This is what this has to be matched here. Otherwise, your query execution will fail. See then from how you are getting this one? Attribute dot URI params. As we seen this, right? before we delete dot, see employee ID. It automatically comes because this is how we have build our raml file. If you see this here raml file, how we have defined the API to date employee ID for the delete, right? You are passing the employee ID. This is when automatically comes to you. This is the use of designing. If you design the API perfectly, right, while implementing, it will go fast. The developer also will understand easily what input he has to provide, how we can provide, what field he can send. Okay, now we are done with this delete. But now, as I told you, right, once you delete that, you can see that after deleting, I want to see the number of records are available. Just now I told you, right, as you have 3 records available in the database. Sir, I want to see, you are saying that delete is done, but I want to see the deleted employee, it should go off, and I could see these 2 records that we will cover here. Say after delete, what I do again, I will fire the select statement. So what is the select statement query it is doing? Say get all employees. Then you can see this query you have to use there in this select, because you are trying to get all the data right after deleting, right? Then once you get the data, then you want to see, right, how do I see that? Again, we have a component called transfer message, then you put it here. Then this transfer message, this select statement is returning in the form of Java objects. Then you can convert to JSON. You just display that payload as is. Okay, this payload, why sir you keep writing payload just like that? You are not doing anything, right? Right now, see, however the data is coming here, right, after executing this else statement, you could see here yesterday we discussed, right, it is storing in the target value as payload, right? That is what I'm just using like that. Okay, I don't want to change that. I have not given any variable name also. It is just a value. Target value means after executing this component, the data is storing in this variable. It is a name of the variable. I just using that in the next subsequent flows, right? We will cover this about these things as a part of data web expressions. Okay, don't confuse. Okay, this payload, how where it is coming, you have to understand that. That's what I am showing you here. This payload is coming from this, right? Whatever it is coming, just I am displaying it here. But how